and fill it into your game. It helps a lot because being able to attack the course in both ways. The same goes for if you don't have a sidearm. I like to break the backhand drive down into 3 important things. If any of you have seen me throw on a video or something like that, my approach to the front of the tee pad is unorthodox. As some people have said, it makes them seasick. Now, I'm not going to say, I think just as how all that goes, it doesn't matter how you get there. There are some key points that you will see in everybody's form that is universal and the same. And that's what I like to focus on, and that's what I'm going to hopefully help you guys understand a little bit more. So the first thing is probably one of the biggest problem we see, and it's players aren't getting their reach back to be straight back. All right, so more often than not, players are reaching back this way. So reaching straight back, trying to throw right down this yellow line, right? My reach back is straight on that yellow line and straight behind me. Notice this isn't as far as I can reach back because I can reach all the way back here. But now, am I on that yellow line? No. So that's more what happens with players is they overreach. And what happens there is it causes them to now round around their body. Where you're having to pull it and now you're having to curl to come around to hit your line. Which is going to make it more difficult for you to actually hit the line you intended. So we focus on getting that straight arm in the reach back. How? Focus on keeping the disc more in line with your right shoulder and away from your left shoulder. And maybe in some cases, don't reach back so far. Shorten it up. Get it good. Standstill throws are a great way to learn that because you can stand here, put your arm straight back, and then throw. And now you're doing it. And you keep doing that till it feels natural. So what that does is we're actually creating the shortest distance between 2 points, right? So if we have a curved line, I'm having to work really, really hard to throw the shot I want to throw. Where if I'm in a straight line, I'm maximizing the potential energy I've made by creating that line. I know, math, boring. Yeah, we're not in school, come on. So focusing on keeping that straight arm back. Yeah? Okay. Next part is the pull through. The way I like to look at it, we have to stay on one plane in this pull through. Because when we pull through, I'm from here, I'm not dipping, I'm not pulling up, I'm not doing anything. The disc should stay on this plane from front to back, straight across. Think about it as I have a countertop or a shelf right here, and my arm is on that shelf from back to front. Now, when it comes to throwing uphill and downhill, the thing that changes is in our shoulders. Our shoulders are very important. Some people will tell you your hips, but when we say hips and shoulders, it's the same thing. You might bend in your hips, but your shoulders are leaning over. So when you're throwing uphill and downhill, you just shift your shoulders to be here. Now my reach back is here, but I'm throwing up the hill.
Still a straight line.
Still one plane, right? Downhill, it's opposite. I'm leaning more over here, and I'm coming and throwing down the plane. So sticking to that, keeping it level, right? And to add how our shoulders work in that backhand throw, if you look here, it'll work. If you work here, if I'm standing more straight up, the disc is flat, right? I'm not turning my wrist, I'm not doing a lot of action here. But if I lean my shoulders over, what happens to the disc? Throwing a hyzer. Lean back. Naturally, my arm hasn't really changed, but my shoulders are helping me change the shot. So now, all I have to focus on is throwing as normal as possible, but just changing my shoulders to help me guide that shot. Does that make sense? Cool. The last thing, and I'm gonna ask everybody to stand up, and you can actually, while you're there, put the disc straight back and feel that in your shoulders. But stand up, get a little bit of space, put a disc in your hand, and now we're gonna talk about probably one of the most important pieces of the backhanded drive that I think goes unmissed other than the rounding problem. This is one of those things that some people miss. And it's in the last step of your throw. Now most players, the common problem is you get your feet parallel, right? They're level with each other, my feet, I'm in an athletic stance, like back in PE, shoulder width apart, good, right? Let's go, let's do some stuff, right? But if I put my arm straight back, go back to the line. If I put my arm straight back on this line, look at my midsection. Tina's gonna watch.
When it comes to disc golf, you want to make sure you're using all of your body. You want to use your hips, your legs, your arms, your shoulders. And if he's reaching back here with his legs parallel, his hips aren't even a little bit engaged. They're barely turned into his throw.
That makes you see that, right? I look a little obstructed. And do that. Put your feet and reach back straight. It feels awkward. It kind of feels like you're tight, right? You're locked up. You can't get there. Now, what I'm going to suggest you guys to do is stagger your feet. Put your front foot slightly out in front of you and reach back straight. Now look immediately what happens to my midsection. My core is now engaged. My hips are turned into the throw. I'm loaded. So now when I pull through, I'm getting a lot of action from my lower body and my core into this throw when I'm pulling through. Where here, it's pretty much arm. It's a straight arm. And you're gonna get really tired by the end of the round if you're throwing all your shots just like that. Where if I'm here, my whole body's in the throw and I'm pulling through and allowing everything to engage. Does that make sense? So everybody make sure you stand up and feel that. And again, it's the easiest way to see that. Go out and do some standstills. Put your feet parallel and throw. Offset them. Feel it. Keep everything very good. We like to slow things down. Now, everything you guys learned here today is going to take some time to make it feel good because you already have created your own habits, right? I don't say bad habits because it doesn't matter because everybody's body's different. I can put this disc in your hand and you're going to throw it very differently than I throw it. You're going to put it in Tina's hand. It's going to be very different from you two as well. It's not really going to be the same. So that's why you have to find a way to make those habits better and finding ways to create new habits to help you throw correctly.
So a little bit of advice when it comes to changing your form at all. Have any of you tried to change something and then you just get really frustrated with it because all of a sudden you're not throwing anything the same? I mean, it can last weeks too. But we like to suggest that you take film on your phone or on a camera. Like, just have a buddy just take film of you throwing and get a couple good shots, some good ones that felt good and some bad ones too, and sit and compare. You can easily, even if you don't know about disc golf form, you can easily see some things that like, oh, my body's doing that and it's keeping me, like maybe your back foot is all the way back here when you're throwing, so clearly you're not turning all the way. There's so many things you can pick up on. So if you do change anything, get a good starting point. Okay, this is what my form looks like. And clearly, if you want to work on your steps, you know, just take note of where your feet are and fix that, and then take video once it feels good. It's the best and easiest way to find flaws in your own form to fix them. But when and if you do change your form, stick to it. It takes time. It gets really frustrating for a little while. But unless you commit to it, you're never going to be able to make those changes. You're just going to go back to old habits. So give it a couple weeks, not just a couple days or not just a couple rounds. Like really give it a couple weeks and go do field work. Eric and I preach field work like crazy. One of my downfalls in the middle of the season is I don't play as good as I do in my off season because I'm doing field work every single day in the off season. And so I understand my discs, I understand my angles. And then when we go out and play tournaments every weekend, we don't get that fieldwork time nearly as much as we usually do. So you kind of just have to suffer through during the season and then go back to the drawing board. So fieldwork, even if it's 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes every couple days, like I know not everybody has a ton of time, but 20 minutes out in the field can make a huge difference. We'll talk about how many throws can you get in.
Well, think about if you were to go play a full round, you played a full 18 holes out here. play the course twice, right? It would probably take you a couple hours, most likely. If you're solo, maybe about an hour and a half or so. But you would probably get on average 54 throws because it's par 3, and say you got par on every single time. You might have more, might have less, but an hour and a half, it took 54 throws. If you go to the field and you take your bag of 20 discs, throw those 20. Go out, gather them up, throw them back 20. How long did that take you? 20, 30 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And you're already at 40 throws in a third of the time. So what you're allowed to do is, now we're talking, when somebody comes up and asks me, it's like, well, I feel like, you know, I have everything right, but I'm just not where you are. It's like, well, how long have you been playing? How many hours have you put in the game? How long have you been dedicated to your form and putting that time in? Well, not that long. And that's where hours. I am still behind on hours to the Simon Lazats of the world, the Eric McCabe's of the world, the Rickies and Pauls, Pages. They have hours on all of us. So that's where we have to make that up by making the most out of our practice every single chance we can. So yeah, field work works. It's the only reason I have come to the point where I am in my disc golf career.
The other thing too, it's not just about how many times you can get it in a field, but also the fact that you're not working on getting a par. You're not trying to shape a specific line or like struggling to get to a basket. The idea is that you have this open field to understand your body and what it does with the disc and your angles, and you can really just get a really honed in sense of what you can do with a disc at all. Like, go throw some rollers in a field, because who cares? If it's an open field, you're not going to lose it, you're not going to sacrifice par, so field work can make a big difference. I'll get off my soapbox. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah. The last thing is, field work helps you learn your discs, because you might just take this simple disc and throw it. This disc does this, only does this. But you might understand that it might actually have another tool, so that's a good thing to have. So, just to reiterate, backhand, straight arm reach back, slow down, keep that arm straight, pull across on one plane, get that front foot out in front of you and engage your whole core. Does that make sense? It'll take some time, but if you go look at most pros, they do those 3 things correctly. They all do it. There's a great video on YouTube that has 4 top pros in slow motion from the European Open, I think 2015. And you go watch, and they all have a slightly different approach, but once they get back here, everything looks almost exactly the same. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So, we'll move on to the sidearm. Throwing with 4 hands. Nobody gets it. It's not, can't make fetch happen. Side hands. Side hands is really good. So, a couple off seasons ago, I didn't really have much of a sidearm, and I didn't think I needed one. I took the most overstable disc in my bag and I threw it as hard as I could, and it went, maybe, if I was lucky, it went 300 feet, but it went right. So I was like, psh, I got a sidearm in the bag, so good. And then I realized I started playing courses where I needed a good control sidearm. I needed to have that shot. So I really went out and worked on it. And now this is the way I did that was I took the most understable disc and went to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and I said, I'm going to learn how to sidearm this disc. I'm going to learn how to throw it and make sure that it's hyzers out. I'm going to make this understable disc overstable. And it took a long time. I took from Discmania, the D-Line FD. It's probably one of the flippier discs. The DX Plastic. You guys all know what DX Plastic is. It's like a DX Leopard. Think about sidearming something like that. It takes a lot of touch. It takes a lot of careful to be really soft with it, but to get it to do it. And that was how I had to learn, because I had to basically break my form down, take all my habits, throw them out at the door to learn new. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use that type of sidearm where you take something overstable and flex it, because it is a good shot to have, but we use hyzer flip backhands constantly. You might hear the term, people do that, so why not with a sidearm? And that's where I was able to develop using this type of sidearm, and now I'm able to attack courses in different ways. Taking the understable disc and putting on a little bit of hyzer, letting the disc stand up, cruise, and then finish. And I'm able to throw that at 60-70%. I'm not taking it, throwing it at 100%. And think about what that does for me in the longevity of a tournament. If I'm playing a 2-round tournament in one day, that's 36 holes, and I had to throw a bunch of sidearms, and I took every sidearm, I was throwing as hard as I could. By hole 36, I'm going to be exhausted. But if I'm throwing at 60%, I'm ready to go. I'm good. I'm not wasting energy. So it helps in a lot of ways. So what I figured out, if you look at Jeremy Cullen, Nate Sexton, Sarah Hokum, some really good sidearm players. Sarah has unorthodox sidearm form, but she does incredible things with the sidearm, so you can't fault her on what she does. But if you notice, a lot of them are coming very low, and they stay low. The shoulders are engaged here as well. When you're throwing these sidearms, if I'm over my shoulder, I'm here on a hyzer, right? And if I stand up, watch what happens. It's more flat. Stand all the way up. And hyzer. It's the same concept as our backhand, where I'm here and here. It's the same concept, so we use our shoulders a lot to help us shape the shot. So staying low in the sidearm helps. Staying smooth, keeping your palm to the sky. Now, you're not sneezing, coming across your face, or dabbing, and you're not trying to give yourself a hug either, not coming around your body. Your sidearm follow through should be forward. You're extending the hand. That's one of the I've started to realize it more. What I see people have problems. You'll see them do this. They'll stay low, and they go. Their arm is straight up, and then what happens to the disc? It goes out and flutters and super stalls and stops. And if you keep that momentum going forward and you don't let your wrist roll, keeping that palm to the sky is very important. What I mean by wrist roll, it's the most common athletic thing to do is, roll that wrist. We throw footballs, we throw baseballs, we do all of that where we incorporate that wrist action. The wrist action has to stay popped, flat, and forward. So, what I suggest, take the most understable disc in your bag, go out, throw it at 30%. Stand still right here, and just pop it out there. And then build from there. Build up to 40, build up to 50, build up to the point where you can throw that comfortably at 80-90%, and you know it's going to fly without flipping and turning into a roller. It's not going to burn out, right? So, I'm going to go over here real quick, to show you guys what I mean. Thief, Claymore, Warden. So I also suggest taking your mid-ranges and your putters. Tina's really good about this. She loves to throw her putters for sidearms, for approaches. And why she does that is because she has good control with them. And what she'll do is she'll throw her normal backhanded approach, and then she'll take a putter and throw a sidearm and make it look easy. So, Thief, my backhand roller disc, very understable. I throw it all the time, is get out of trouble. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this nice and easy, kind of hard with the uphill, but we'll make it work. And I'm not going to try and throw this too hard.
There's an open field if you guys want to go through there too.
Want to do that? Might be easier.
Yeah,
I'm not talking to a tree
back here, so
yeah. All right, we're gonna do this. Oh, it's fine. We'll do it here. You guys will see it. So I'm gonna throw this nice and easy, just to get effortless flight. That's fine. It's down. Perfect. So notice how I'm not throwing it hard. The disc didn't. Where if it was an overstable disc, if I would have thrown that like that, I'm in the woods, hacking through, grabbing some stickers, and just saying that sucks, right? So now, what helps clean up the form is throwing these slower speed discs like your mid-ranges and your putters. The Claymore is one of my favorites. It's not a DD mold, but it's a Latitude 64. It's in the Trilogy family. It's a very neutral, understable, and it's awesome. But what we can do is we can throw it nice and smooth, the same kind of concept, to allow the disc to work. I'm not killing myself throwing this shot, right? This is a Warden. It's a putter. It's the same concept where everything is working, right? Tell me, you guys have played courses where if you could say I could take my putter, throw it 250 feet, 300 feet, dead straight, that you don't want that shot. Everybody does. I want that shot. Because there are plenty of places where if you can throw 300 feet, 250 feet, exactly where you want to, you will win tournaments. And you do that on every single hole, you will win tournaments. You will play very good golf. Why do we not win? Oh, well, I didn't putt that well. I was in the rough every hole. It's like, well, practice your putting. Let's throw and hit those lines. Does that make sense for the sidearm?
Yep.
Staying low, palm to the sky, follow through forward. Understable, build from the ground up. Make sense? Swing the back around. So, what I suggest, again, get the most understable disc you have and try it. It's going to be awful. Same concept. Start from a standstill. 30-40% smooth. Just work it out there. If you need to, pick a distance like this. I'm going to say, all right, cool, I'm going to throw my entire bag from a standstill with all these understable discs to that triple tree right there. I'm just going to throw, just try and get everything to hyzer out. Just don't let my wrist roll. That's why I love building from the ground up, because if you guys put yourself in the right amount of distance, it'll help you incredibly with understanding how to control the disc and not try and say, it's like, well, I can throw a forehand, and when I do, it goes 350 feet because I get it. The disc flies and falls and pulls out. You're not trying to throw the disc 350 feet. You're trying to throw the disc exactly where you want. And that's where we work to build that into our sidearm play. Cool. Sidearms, forehands. Awesome. So the next part we love to combine with putting in the mental game because they go hand in hand. They really, really do. And there's a lot of things. Yeah, sure.
Something that I think applies to both. When Eric and I are teaching either lessons or clinics, a lot of times we see one thing that causes inconsistencies for everybody. It's very, very common, and one of the easiest things to fix is slowing down. A lot of people think that if they have a lot of power running up to the tee pad, that's what's going to get them speed and get the distance out of a disc. But more often than not, that's going to inhibit your disc angles, which are way more important. If you throw a drive and it comes out with the nose up like this, you're going to lose 100 feet easy on the distance. Now, if you just control your run up and go nice and smooth, and you can get that nose down, you're going to get way more of that distance. So if you think about it, if you're moving up to the tee pad really, really fast to try to get all your distance, anything that you're in your reach back or your pull through, any of that is super compromised because of how fast you're moving. And now I'm not saying to just not use power. It's all about all of that movement hitting in one split second. So when I throw, it's just the slowest, and then right here, that's where my power comes in. My walk-up is literally that slow, but I still have a ton of explosive power. So it's just something to think about. If your timing is off and you're missing angles and you're throwing hyzers when you wanted to throw anhyzers or throwing nose up when you meant to throw flat, really just slow down your footwork and just try to just focus on disc angles. It's really important. Same with sidearm. A lot of people just put a lot of movement forward into the disc, and it's really more about your angles and just getting all of that to hit at one point.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's all.
So that's the most common thing we tell people whenever we do private lessons. Is the first thing is like, I want you to throw everything 60% until I tell you to throw 100%. And most of the time, I'll never tell anybody to throw 100% because that's already going to be the most common problem because it's very jerky. So if you're having problems, as she said, slow down.
Okay.
Putting
That's all.
and the mental game. So we love to do these together because they go hand in hand. And when it comes to just putting, so we'll just talk the basics of putting, there's nothing that we can tell you that's going to make you a better putter other than go out and practice and stick to something that feels good. If you go look at every player in the world, there are 0 players that putt exactly the same. 0. They all have different. There's some people who putt with Andy, some people putt flat, super hyzer, there's pitch putters, there's turbo putters, there's, you name it. So, you have to find what works best for you. Now, we've all had probably some really good putting weekends where it feels great. I'm releasing the disc, I'm hitting the line, banging the chains exactly how I intended it. And then you go out 2 or 3 days later, and the basket looks like it's just the pole. You can't hit anything. And how many times when that's happened have you said, all right, I'm not putting with Wardens, give me some judges, I'm gonna change it up, I'm not gonna spin, I'm actually gonna really loft my putt, and you change it, you just scrap the whole thing. How many times, who's done that before? Should be almost everybody. I've done it a lot, I've done it before, but don't. Johnny McRae told me about 3 years ago, find something and stick to it. And ever since I've done that, my putting has continually gotten better with time. And I feel more confident every single day. So
It's more about finding a routine that works for you, something that you can mimic every time that your body is just used to doing it, and just repeating it over and over and over again, so your muscle memory takes over and your brain doesn't have to do it anymore.
yeah, it's totally true. So find something, stick to it. Find even putters that work best for you. Don't switch it around too much. Just find something that feels good in your hand and that allows you to have a good, clean release every single time. Once you've found that, just dial it in. Go out and practice. Go out and practice when it gets really windy. Go out and practice in your house. Just go and do. The next part about putting, that's where we're gonna start talking the mental part of the game, where we've all stepped up to putts, and it's a 15-footer, and you've all been here. It's like, I remember a couple leagues ago, I missed one left side like this, and then you go and you miss it left side. In that moment, you've already talked yourself out of the putt. You knew you didn't have a chance, right? So in those moments, we have to start to understand and use the game to our advantage. When I step up to that putt, and I go, remember I had one in practice and warm up, I kind of missed. In that moment, once you've had that thought, you need to, what I like to do is you need to detach from the situation. You've already missed that putt. Don't throw it. In your mind, you've already missed. Step away, reset, tell yourself, you can make this putt.
I like to just close my eyes and take a deep breath and convince myself that none of that ever happened.
Yeah. Visualize yourself making the putt. Exactly. You've already missed that putt. How many times in practice have you gone and putted one, misses, and then your second putt 1,000 rated? You just bang it. Like it's nothing, right? So if that's how you are, and you sit there and you're like, I might miss. All right, cool. Go through the motions. All right, cool. Reset. I even switch putters, and I just settle in. I got this. I'm gonna make this putt. Step up. Bam. Make sure I get my focus right, because now I'm in the mindset that I can make the putt. Now there are gonna be plenty of times where you're gonna step up and you're like, man, that basket is huge. I got this all day, right in the chase, right? But on the days when the basket feels smaller, really get your mind right. Take your time and visualize yourself making it. Rely on the things that you've practiced. It's the same thing goes for your tee shots. Same thing that goes for like all these throws. How many times have you been thinking about, well, there's OB on the left side, so I don't want to throw in the OB, but that OB's there. What? And I'm going to pass this on to Tina.
Have any of you read Zen and the Art of Disc Golf? Good.
We actually have some copies over there. It's real good.
Good hands. It's really good. It's all about the mental part of disc golf, written by a disc golfer. And my favorite part that I pulled out of it is about your focus on the tee pad. And so, well, it's more about positive thinking versus negative thinking, but specifically, when you're on the tee pad and you see a tree on the right side, and you're standing up there going, man, I don't want to hit that tree. Oh man, there's that tree there, okay. And you throw the drive, you're gonna hit the tree. All your brain's thinking about is the tree. It doesn't understand the don't part. It's just focused at the thing that you're trying to get it to not focus at. So it's again all about just resetting your mentality. If you've had that thought, oh, there's a tree there, just step away for a second and refocus to the gap you want to hit or the spot you want to land. But don't ever look at that tree again. You can save so many strokes by just refocusing your attention and just picking the line you want to hit and envisioning the shot you're going to throw instead of all the don'ts in disc golf. Just like don't miss that putt, don't hit it high this time. Just take the don'ts completely out of it and get the positive thought in your brain. So do hit that gap, do hit that fairway, and if there's OB, just all right, do land it right there. You really have to be more specific because your brain just wants to think about or just wants to direct to the thing you just thought about. So really easy way to save strokes. It sounds so simple, but it is. But you just have to recognize when your brain is making those errors and just fix them before you throw.
Yeah.
It's real good.
So
It helps.
yeah. So some of the other mental things that we go through on the course are when we're having bad breaks. And one tool that has helped me greatly. I'm human, just like everyone else is. I get frustrated. You may see stuff on the internet where I'm always smiling and everything, but trust me, I have had some of my darkest days on the disc golf course where I felt
You're not always smiling.
felt very bad about how I acted. But I've learned to get past that with simple tools. One of the biggest ones is, raise your hand here, who's a world champion? Anybody here ranked number 1 in the world? You win every tournament you play. Cool, nobody. Awesome. That is an understanding that we are all students of the game. We must learn from every single shot, good or bad. If you go and you square up the first tree off the box, that is a great opportunity for you to learn. One, don't do that again. That sucks. But also, all right, cool. I get an opportunity to learn how to scramble. I get an opportunity to learn how to get out of trouble. I get to make a good decision here. Whether should I be aggressive or should I pitch it into the fairway to make sure I get the best score I possibly can now on the hole. We're all students of the game, so you have to take those chances. So instead of getting frustrated, try and look at it as it's a great opportunity to learn. It has helped me incredibly to learn from every shot, to understand what mistake did I make, how do I not let it happen again, and again from the good. All right, cool, that felt great. What did I do? What was I thinking? All right, cool, let's try and have that mindset more often. Those things go a long way. So instead of getting frustrated, try and take it as positive. And then, nobody wants to be a grumpy Gil. If you go look from Ledgestone this year, I was on chase card, and I probably shot one of the worst rounds of the tournament. It was very, very bad, but it's on film, so I can watch it forever. But if you go watch, I kept a very positive attitude. When the round was over, I felt okay. I felt fine. But if I would have gone into that round, shot the same score, and I would have been over there, and I would have been frustrated, I would have walked off that course a wreck. Because I would have been frustrated for 3 or 4 hours, getting what felt like getting kicked straight in the groin for a long time. But I walked off the course saying, it's all right. The course didn't beat me today. I just got a little unlucky. And I was able to bounce back from that and stay in the cash, which is always a positive when you're on tour. So take those examples and just try and learn from them. I've been there. We've all been there. So allow yourself to be better. Cool? Awesome. So that's our little spiel. Now we're going to open it up to you guys to ask any questions. You guys don't have to be disc golf related. You can ask some fun questions if you want to.
Can you talk about grip for a forehand?
Absolutely. So my sidearm grip is pretty normal. It's the stacked grip. It's in here, but I actually have the third finger on the rim. So everybody see that? It's 2 fingers stacked. There's a different grip where you tuck the other finger in. They call it a power grip. This feels like doo-doo to me, so I don't do it.
Yours is the same as
Most.
You just have this finger
2
stretched
fingers
out instead of
underneath.
curled under.
The third is fine. It's just a supporting point. The one thing about the sidearm that I've learned that I think a lot of players miss out on is if you'll see a lot of players, they have the sidearm and it's dangling out in front of them. It's dangling out in their hand. And that's why they get a and they snap it out of there. But they're losing control. So really, you see this cup in your hand. Tuck into that cup. We want to apply as much surface area into the disc. So tuck into this cup, nice and tight. Get it in there so you have a really firm grip on the disc. So when the disc rips from our hand, there is a lot more forces acting against the disc, which allows the disc to spin. And when the disc is spinning as fast as it wants to be, we're going to get a more true flight from our disc. And in most cases, if it comes out wobbling, if it's spinning, it's going to correct on that wobble. Because now that the disc axis is
you
helping.
have your fingers like this on the disc?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some where some will actually say it's more
Well,
stacking them along the rim.
It's
so,
if you look, it's
Yeah,
slightly,
okay.
it's like a diagonal. It's not perfectly flat or anything. It's just, and one of the most common things is just what feels most comfortable. And if it feels really comfortable in there and you're getting a really good release, stay with that. It's a very good way to do it.
I haven't found a comfortable side on it
Yeah.
yet.
Well, try and tuck it in there, put those 2 fingers under there, and just go out and practice it. Let it, learn it, let it feel good. Perfect. Who's got more questions? See it. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah. All right.
So for backhand, the straight arm thing is I'm getting a lot better at. That's one of the things I've been focusing on.
Mhm.
But the thing that when I have it nailed down, it helps a lot, and when I don't, it hurts. Is that twist with your heel, bringing your heel down and then up.
Yeah.
And I aspire to have a really clean one because a lot of people with really smooth, great backhand forms have a really nice, clean sounding, smooth heel turn.
Okay.
So what would you guys suggest in terms of like the focus, and if not just focus, like a drill or something to practice on how exactly you go about it, other than just maybe literally just practicing that hip turn?
So one thing that